Hello everyone, you are listening to our top 100 questions for success, personal growth and life podcast brought to you by Falling Upward. I'm Vid and I'm here with Jack today and we are going to be talking about mindset and planning. So first we'd like to jump right into what is mindset. It basically means established set of attitudes and values. Now that we have the definition done, I'd like to go in, why is mindset important? I believe it determines how we approach tasks and goals. And I'd like to ask Jack, what's your natural mindset and how do you approach your tasks and goals?
Okay, so my natural mindset is that I aim to achieve something every day, and the way I go about doing this is I have the mindset of creating a good strategy to undertake my goals. So a lot of the goals that I set usually seem too difficult to me at the start. So for me, this is why planning is so important, just to make sure that I can work out how I can get around problems and achieve the goals. But I do often lose willpower when I'm confused. That's my biggest problem. When I'm confused, it's where I start procrastinating. And so this is why planning for me is a crucial way of achieving my goals. So overall, I'd say I have a growth mindset, as in the end, I still do believe there is a solution.
Right, I'd just like to specify here, when you're talking about growth mindset, most people don't know what that means. So let me just quickly explain these terms. So there are two types of mindset. There's fixed and growth mindset. In fixed mindset, you base your confidence on the results coming out of the tasks you do, which means your ability to learn and grow is very limited. Your confidence gets shattered when you don't achieve your goal, when you don't get good praise, when you basically blame everything and everyone around you for your shortcomings. On the other hand, growth mindset means putting effort in anything you do, whether that's setting a goal for yourself and achieving it, whether that's any activity you choose, whether that's sport, whether that's business, whether that's learning. You are putting in effort without counting on the fact that you'll achieve the goal you set for yourself. So your confidence is based on the effort you put in and on how much you learned from the activity you've been doing. Now, I'd like to go from there. Do you base your level of confidence on the results, meaning you approach your task with fixed mindset, or do you actually just put effort in to learn?
So for me, I'd say it's both. I do definitely get a knock in confidence when I don't achieve things, but this is mainly because I've made so many goals in the past that I haven't completed, and so they've made me kind of lose faith in the fact that I can achieve a new goal. But this is based off my past, and I think that presently this kind of changes. So on the other hand, I actually get a great sense of confidence when I've worked hard at something in a day, even if I didn't complete it, as what I learn does excite me and like give me an enormous sense of well-being when I realise how many things I can apply this lesson towards, like other aspects of life and other goals that I'm working towards. So I could kind of summarise this by saying that I value progress and impact really highly, and so by not progressing towards a goal, I lose confidence. But I also value learning, and so I get that equal and opposite sense of fulfillment when I learn from a mistake and don't necessarily get the result I'm after, but I can take away a lesson.
Do you feel that you lose the willpower to finish a given task if it seems like you're failing?
Yeah, if I feel like I'm failing, I do lose the willpower to keep pushing through it. But this, I'd say it's because I don't think that focused effort is the best way to achieve the goal at that point. So I usually take a break when when I can't get through a task or I find it too difficult, so I can actually let my unconscious mind just sit on it, and I maybe go for a walk just to spark up some insights. And eventually, when I actually find a way past the problem and I have some sort of insight that can keep me moving, then my willpower comes back up. I think my willpower is completely determined by how confused I am. If I'm really confused, then I can't do it. But if I actually have some sort of knowledge on how I can make a step forward, then I'll make that step. But yeah, confusion is my biggest enemy.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you find it when like there is no confusion and you've done your plan? Do you find it hard to go from the planning phase to the execution phase to actually start making steps towards making that plan happen?
I think for me, when I have a plan in place and I know that everything's set up, so each of my tasks is the best task I could be committing to, as long as I'm staying in touch with my vision and really understanding the reasons why I want to get these goals achieved, and I can actually build up that motivation level through that, if I do those routines, so that as a morning routine, then I don't necessarily find it hard because I will get it done, and the amount I'll procrastinate when I can have this in mind is very low. I think the only case where I procrastinate is if the goal isn't truly important to me, or I haven't connected to what this could actually bring to my life. So yeah, for me, if I actually have a plan in place and it's a good working model, and I trust that what I've set to do each day is going to push me towards my goals, then I don't find that particularly difficult.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, for me, and I like that you nudged it, when I discovered journaling and actually started organizing my days and self-reflecting on how much time I procrastinate throughout the day and how much time is actually productive. Not busy, productive.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. And I definitely find myself more efficient, productive, and even happier because I know that I'm not wasting my life away, that I'm actually getting towards a goal. But here's a good one. My next question is how, because that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
How do you deal with failure?
How do I deal with failure? Usually I deal with failure through, if I have the plan in place, I'll talk to you about it if I have the plan in place first. But yeah, to deal with failure, I will look at the failure, see what went wrong, and I will take that information and review what went wrong, how my strategy was wrong, and what I can change for next time, and I will approach it again. I don't usually shy away from a goal just because I failed the first time. I will try again. I think that's something that I do have that benefits me, is the fact that if I know I want to do something and it's important to me, I will just do it again. But my only problem is if I don't have a good plan in place, and I know we're talking about planning a lot, but to me it's very important. If I don't have a good plan in place, I often won't learn from my failure, so I'll get in a slight loop of doing the same thing over and over again, just assuming that the reason it went wrong was due to maybe luck or just the fact that I didn't try hard enough. But I think there's a lot more to it, and very soon, it may already be on our site, depending on when you're listening to this, I will have a whole series of episodes on planning, which you can go through, and it should help you with dealing with these failures. But yeah, that'll be my answer to that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I believe that reflecting on a failure, I myself very much believe that a failure is a part of the process. Whatever you're doing, there will be feedback. You won't get everything done right the first time, and that's just a part of it.
Yeah.
And for me, I always try to see the positive in the negative situation. So like, even if it was the worst situation in my life, what positive things can I take out of it?
Yeah.
What is
outlook you can
something that pushes me forward, that gives me an information or knowledge that I didn't have before,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have if I didn't fail, and I actually see the failure as a good thing.
That's probably enormously fulfilling, the fact that you can see the positive in your failure, because it still gives you a sense of progress, even when you haven't achieved the result you wanted. I do find that a very important way of dealing with it.
Yeah, I do believe in progress over perfection every time.
Definitely.
I believe that's, you know what, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know how, so you will always fail. Like, it is a part of it. And once you, my big belief is that once you take that in and once you accept that failure is an inevitable and necessary part of any journey,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the point when you cross the chasm towards actually achieving anything meaningful in life.
That's what growth mindset's all about in the end.
Yes.
It's making sure that you can find other ways around doing things, and always knowing that there's a solution and just believing that you haven't found it yet, rather than believing there isn't a solution.
Yes, I think series of failures is only a learning curve. It's basically fail, learn, fail better, learn, fail better, succeed.
It's basic model of learning is trial and error, and trial and error is simply failing, learning from your mistake, and then starting again with a new strategy.
Yeah, I'd like to fill in here. I mean, I don't know if you've read the book from Richard Dawkins, is The Selfish Gene. And he says that the organisms who only work on trial and error will get extinct, will be replaced by organisms who learn from others' trial and error. So basically that's why I believe it's very important to have mentors, to learn, to acquire knowledge. And sometimes you see, because you have all these books where businessmen, philosophers, scientists will give a book on this is how I failed over 40 years
Yeah.
before I got to the point where I succeeded. You can learn from that and avoid those mistakes. I mean, that's in a way our whole purpose of the company.
Yeah, very much so.
Is
Yeah.
to
It's
tell
to, it's to
people
apply
about-
those principles and then apply it to our own lives and then teach people the information based on what we learned from that advice.
yeah, more or less just share our shortcomings and our mistakes
Yeah.
and help people not make those mistakes,
Mm.
avoid them, or know how to deal with them
Yeah.
when they approach them or when they encounter them. Right, let's move on. And my next question would be, do you practice introspection? Do you like to find what your personality traits are? What's your value system? Do you find that useful? Do you actually do that research?
Yeah, I do. I've done that. This was the start of my journey towards actually going about creating this company with you. I realized that for me to actually succeed in anything in life, I'm going to have to find what I wanted to focus on. And for me, that meant finding what to me was the most important thing I could commit my time to. As I had so many different options, I wanted to pursue music, I wanted to pursue science, I wanted to pursue multiple other interests. And so I took a process where I wanted to find my values, and these are the things that are my core desires. And the way I did this was through certain triggering questions, such as the first broad question of, what do you find most meaningful to you? So I would simply list down my answers to this question in like the form of a small phrase or just a word to represent that. And then I went through another process where the question was, if I had all the resources that I needed, I had all the money I needed, I had all the skills developed, once I was to reach the age of 17, I was to look back on my life, what would I consider the most important things that I did in my life? What would have made up a perfect life at that point if I had all these resources? And this basically outlines what aspects are personally important to you and would bring the most sense of fulfillment at that age. And so I compared the two answers from the two questions and tried to find some congruence between the answers. And this kind of outlined exactly kind of what domains of life I should really commit my time to. And then beyond this, I looked through a list of master values, which is basically a list of over 200 different values that kind of represent pretty much a range of all the values people would generally have. And so I circled which values I wanted to use and put together a comprehensive list of my top 10 values, which basically determined what I was going to commit my time to and what I could actually say no to and what I shouldn't commit my time to, because these are the things that would bring that most fulfillment and were the most important to me. Beyond this, I also found my strengths through online test, which I can't remember the name of, but I will put it in the link below. And this was just a test where you could find your authentic strengths and answer a series of questions, and they kind of outline that for you and give you a definition for what these are. And this is very important for also targeting what I should focus on. These two combined, they help me find my purpose in life.
Okay, yeah, that's really
deep.
in depth. Yeah, no, I like that. Because for me, I think that was one of the most important researches I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because once you know, I mean, I could list the books. Is The Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards, who's the CEO of Science of People. Also learning about the brain and what tricks does our brain play on us throughout our life, how it works, and the whole conscious, subconscious, mind, rational, emotional, and loads others. All that information, to me, that was something I needed to know to create the bottom line, to know exactly what my traits are. So I always believed that once I know where I stand, then I can do the process of growth a bit easier because I know what I'm working with.
Yeah.
Then go up from that.
Mm.
And so, yeah, for me, I think this was one of the, or maybe the most important research I've done so far. You can see it in our modern society that we now know that our attention span is about 5 seconds and white noise of information everywhere around us. And it's really hard to find that focus on what we actually want to do. Most people don't even know what they want to do. Where would they start? I believe, like, what do you think should be the first step on that journey?
The first step on someone's journey should be, in my opinion, and based on my experience, to define their values, as I was saying before. If you know what's most important to you, and you can have some sort of evidence and some sort of kind of scientific way of doing this through these triggering questions.
You mean doing the research or finding that purpose?
Finding the purpose.
Yeah, okay.
If you can kind of work out what's meaningful to you through these values, then that's going to act as a really good compass on what domain your career should lie in. And this is something that you can design for yourself through that process. And I will have courses on this. It might even be there now, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. But this is extremely important because it really shows what you should focus on and what you can not focus on. Because I believe so many people are so stuck on all these different paths that they could take. If you can work out which one resonates with you the most through this process, you can really help with your level of focus and level of overall success and fulfillment.
Right, so you do believe that people should choose one path and really follow that.
Okay.
See how deep they can go with it and see if that's something they really want to do. And if that doesn't work, then move on to something else. But really probe that one path really well rather than focusing on multiple efforts.
Okay, yeah. I think it's still very important to try out different fields, especially when you're younger, because this is going to help essentially develop your values, help you find out what actually is important to you, because you may not know it at first. When I first took the process of going through this, I actually came out with a different result to what I have now because of the growth I had between the two time periods. So I think it's very important to set a baseline of these values at any point in time, but you should always still be trying to build up your wisdom and look into different fields and then go through this process multiple times. It's not like you find your values and then you commit to that for the rest of your life. What you do is you find your values, you commit to that until the point where your values have matured, and you can review this maybe, let's say, every quarter or each year, so that you can make these adjustments and adapt where you're going in life.
Okay, Jack, thank you for joining me. It was a big pleasure.
Yeah, no
Guys,
worries.
thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. I know I did. Check out our other episodes, browse our website, have a peek at our videos. We've got loads of content going out every week, so don't forget to subscribe so you can stay updated. Now, this is all from me. Stay driven, and until next time.
Bye-bye.